Let me tell you a story, not of miracles or sudden transformations, but of something quieter, something more enduring. It's the story of a man named James. James was a successful professional in his late 30s. From the outside, everything seemed in order. A steady career, a supportive family, and a lifestyle most would admire. He was the kind of person who scheduled regular checkups, bought organic food, and followed the advice of his fitness tracker religiously. But despite all his efforts to stay healthy, James felt increasingly disconnected from his own body. He struggled with chronic fatigue, subtle but persistent pain in his joints, digestive issues, and what he called a cloud in his mind. He'd go through cycles of motivation and burnout, pushing himself through exercise routines only to end up more drained than before. One afternoon, over coffee, he asked me with genuine confusion in his eyes, "Why do I feel like this? I'm doing everything right. Why doesn't my body respond?" And so, I asked him something that stopped him in his tracks. "James, why do you want perfect bodily conditions in the first place?" He frowned. "Because I want to be healthy. I want to feel like myself again." I nodded and leaned in just slightly. "And what does that really mean, to feel like yourself?" He paused for a long moment. "I guess, to feel calm, light, whole." That's when I shared with him something I had once learned from someone wise, something that changed my own life. You cannot truly heal the body without touching the invisible part of yourself, the part that existed before the tension, before the diagnosis, before the worry. Your body is not separate from your mind, and your mind is not separate from your deeper being. You see, we live in a world obsessed with managing the outer layers, the symptoms, the routines, the numbers on a screen. But healing, real healing, begins with coming home to yourself. I explained to James that he was more than the physical body he could see or measure, that he was, in essence, an extension of something deeper, something wiser, a core of being that I simply call the inner self. You can call it awareness, consciousness, spirit, soul, energy. The name doesn't matter. What matters is that it's always there, quietly observing everything you experience. And your body? It's a faithful translator of the relationship between your everyday thoughts and that deeper self. It responds to the quality of your inner dialogue, not just to what you eat or how much you sleep. We talked about vibrational alignment, though I used simpler words. I told James, when your thoughts are in harmony with the deeper truth of who you are, peaceful, accepting, compassionate, your body listens, it softens, it begins to thrive. But when your thoughts are filled with fear, resentment, pressure, and harsh self-judgment, the body mirrors that dissonance. In that sense, your emotions are not just feelings. They are your internal guidance system. They show you, moment to moment, whether you are connected to your inner self or disconnected from it. This was new for James. He'd always seen emotions as something to manage or suppress. Now he was beginning to understand them as sacred signals. I said, "Think of it this way. Every subject you dwell on, every thought you repeat, moves you in one of two directions, either closer to your true self or further from it. And your emotional state tells you which way you're going. If a thought feels heavy, tight, anxious, it's a sign that you're out of sync. If a thought feels relieving, warm, open, even slightly, then you're moving into alignment. And when you learn to consistently choose the better feeling thought, you begin tuning your frequency to match that of your inner self. And that, my friend, is where healing begins. Because when the inner signal is clean and clear, the body stops defending. It stops fighting. It starts flowing. I shared with him a simple truth. Chronic illness is not just about biology. It's about energy that has been disconnected from its original source for too long. So, I gave James a quiet challenge, not to fix himself, not to get everything right, but to begin listening, to ask himself, does this thought feel good? Is this emotion leading me toward peace or away from it? and to gently, without pressure, begin choosing better feeling thoughts day by day. He was skeptical at first. "That's it?" he asked. "Just reach for a better thought?" I smiled. "In every moment, there are really only two choices. A thought that feels better or one that feels worse. That's it. That's the practice. It's simple, but not always easy. It takes presence, patience, but if you commit to it, your entire life can shift." James accepted the challenge. He began noticing when he was hard on himself. He practiced gratitude, not as a task, but as a soft returning to what was already good. He let himself rest when he was tired, without guilt. He forgave more quickly. He meditated, not to escape, but to listen. And slowly something changed. The cloud in his mind began to lift. The aches became less frequent. His energy returned, not in sudden bursts, but in gentle waves. He felt more like himself, not the self others expected, but the self he had forgotten to listen to. And perhaps more importantly, he stopped chasing perfect health and started living with deeper wholeness. So, if you're sitting here today wondering why your body doesn't feel the way you want it to, maybe the question isn't, "What's wrong with me?" Maybe the question is, how closely am I living in harmony with who I really am? You don't have to fix everything today. You don't need to force healing to happen. You only need to begin paying attention, one thought at a time, one feeling at a time, choosing in each moment the thought that feels just a little better. And when you do that, not just once, but as a way of life, you will find that your body, your beautiful, wise body, will respond, not with perfection, but with peace. And that, more than anything, is what true health feels like.